Hello, it's Stuart, the Unrepentant Atheist. So we've got a call here from Paul. It's not the whole of the call because it's just too long. I hope a lot of you will appreciate that these 25-minute calls, I can't possibly incorporate the whole call into a reaction video because, well, they're just too long. It would end up being 40 minutes long. And I aim for maybe between 7 and 12 minutes as an optimum time for a video. So here we go then with Paul. Let's see what he's got to say. I believe he's a Christian.
It was when you were out there on your own with no framework to work with at all. And
you see,
go ahead.
You see, but this is the crazy thing. When I gave my life to Jesus, it's been 2 years now. In this 2 years, it's so crazy, wonderful. Like every single day I come to Jesus, anything I ask him, like nothing in this world, everything I do every single day, you know, we have hobbies, we have fun, it makes us happy, but nothing comes close to how perfect the peace and joy he fills me with.
Okay, before Tracie replies, let me just give you my thoughts on that. Obviously, I've heard before Christians talking about how wonderful it is to have a relationship with Jesus. The question is it possible to have a relationship with something that is purely imaginary? In other words, there's no objective reality to it, and it to be of benefit. Actually, yes, as Dumbo's lucky feather has proven to us, a placebo can certainly be of benefit. Dumbo was able to fly not because the feather had magical properties, because it gave him belief in himself. And it's the same thing with people who claim, I believe, anyway, obviously I don't believe that they're having a relationship with the living Jesus. So I believe that there is no Jesus to have a relationship with, but I believe effectively it's like Dumbo's lucky feather, and it's just simply a placebo, and it's helping these people to live functional lives, functional, happy lives. So that's my view. Let's hear what Tracie's got to say.
Yeah, I had the same experience. I had the same experience when I was a Christian, right? I had the same thing where I felt so relieved. First of all, I was super relieved that I didn't have to worry about hell anymore. Oh man, what a relief that was, that I didn't have to worry about what was the evil things might happen to me in the afterlife, or I might never see my family again. I didn't have to worry about negotiating my romantic relationships because you didn't have sex until you got married. I didn't have to worry about, you know, the morality or the questions concerning drug use, concerning drinking, concerning all these other things, because I had it all laid out to me in these rules, right, that said, just don't do these things. So I didn't have to think about them at all. It was very, very, I mean, there's plenty of studies that show that people actually sometimes do have a lot more relief, feelings of calm when they're religious, because you don't really worry about things because you don't have to think about them. It's so much easier when you think that a God is taking care of everything for you and you simply follow a set of prescribed rules and you don't have to really negotiate the world.
You see, that's in my relationship with Jesus, look, then tell me, in my relationship with Jesus.
That's interesting, because what Tracie referred to there is the fact that when you take on a religion, you are effectively handing over your autonomy to make your own decisions to an external force or to an external doctrine, and that's like a weight off your mind because you no longer have to make decisions, and that makes you happy. I don't think that possibly that's what Paul was talking about as such in his relationship with the living Jesus. He's probably not referring to the fact that he doesn't have to think and that everything's laid out for him. It's more of a kind of, you know, like this sort of magical, I mean, it's a bit like William Lane Craig was saying that when he went to college and he discovered Christianity and it transformed him, knowing that Jesus or God loved Bill Craig. It was a transformational experience. And as I've argued, you could have that feeling even though there's no objective God and no objective Jesus. So I'm not really sure whether let's see what Paul responds.
Jesus, I'm just falling more and more in love with Jesus. Like,
okay, so he's coming from a very emotional point of view there. He's not really analyzing with any degree of objectivity at all what's actually happened to him. He's not really addressing what Tracie said.
There's no one closer to me than Jesus.
How can he say there's no one closer to him than Jesus? Can he see Jesus? Can he talk to? I mean, well, okay, he can think he's talking to Jesus. Does Jesus answer him? Does Jesus walk with him in the park? Does Jesus remind him that I don't know, he's got to hand in his essay on time? I don't know, assuming he's in college or whatever. I mean, in what way is there nobody closer to him than Jesus? That's absolutely absurd. I hope he can justify that.
Like, he is my best friend. He is my true love. He is my...
Now, that's an insult. He's saying that Jesus is his true friend. He's probably got a real friend, somebody who would be there for him if he got into trouble. And he's saying that Jesus is his best friend. And I can guarantee you, if this guy gets into trouble, Jesus won't be there, but his real friends will be.
My father. He is my dad.
I know that's how you feel.
I know, but look. Before I had Jesus, I was so afraid of hell. I was too.
Oh my God, this is a classic.
So nice to not have to have that fear anymore. So the church makes you afraid of hell, then they coerce you to adopt God, and then you don't fear hell anymore, and you feel so much better. And thank you, God, for making me so happy and calm and relieved. And
yeah, it's just like the the mafia boss coming in and saying, "Nice restaurant you've got here, and we'll look after it for you if you just pay us." Say $200 a day, and where he was in fear that the mafia would come and destroy his restaurant, he's paid the $200 a day, and now he no longer has to have any fear that his restaurant's going to get smashed up.
Making my life feel so much better.
Do you fear death?
No.
Do you fear death? This is one thing that Christians often come to. What do you think is going to happen to you when you die? I'll be dead. The same thing as you. We'll both be dead. It will be like an eternity of sleep with no dreams.
No.
I'm not looking forward to dying. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like I'm not looking forward to dying, but I don't fear the idea of being dead.
And you see, he said there, do you fear death? He's really referring to his own reason for taking on board Christianity, because it promises eternal life.
Well, that's what gives me joy. That's where my joy comes from when I think of heaven, because that's where my home is.
So it gives him joy thinking of heaven. That's where his home is. What a complete delusion. There's only one home and there's only one reality, as far as we know. And this is it on this earth. To live your life looking forward to getting into a hypothetical place is just a waste of life, in my view. Even if you're going through it feeling happy that you've got a friend in Jesus, I can't see how it's any kind of authentic, true life to live.
This
life is just where you wipe your dirty shoes before you enter your death. I know, I understand. And it's really sad, because if there is no afterlife, that means you've pretty much blown this life. You've pretty much treated this life as something that doesn't matter, and then you died and there was nothing else. If I'm not going to go to the if you're wrong, because that's not really a good argument. But I do want to at least point out that, if you're wrong and you're sitting here telling me this life is not what matters, it's the next life, I'm basically saying that if there is no next life, you've just blown this one by thinking it doesn't even matter.
It does matter. It matters the most.
It matters in that.
Well, that contradicts what he said. He says it does matter, it matters the most. No, it doesn't, because he said previous to that heaven is his home. That is the real place for him. So, this guy, he doesn't really know how to organize his thoughts, and he doesn't really know what he thinks at all.
That you're getting into the next one, but devoting this life to an afterlife that may not exist means you may have lost your life.
So you also don't believe in Satan? You don't think that...
Now he's moving on to Satan. First, what's going to happen to you when you die? Now, are you afraid of Satan? That's really weird.
Yeah, no, I think these are stories.
I mean, he's talking to two atheists and he's saying, are you afraid of Satan? Does he not get that? Obviously, if we don't believe in God, then we also don't believe in Satan.
These are stories on the level of a story you would tell a child, really. I mean, it's sad to me. I was watching Jack Hanna the other day, and he was on some interview about hunting, trophy hunting, whatever. And my jaw dropped because he's sitting there saying, God, the good Lord made predators and prey animals and made this balance, and people messed up and I was like, what is this man's degree in? I go and look it up, and he's basically a zookeeper. He has no real degrees in biology or, requisite degrees that would let him understand how animals came to exist in the forms that they do. And I was thinking to myself, how can this guy believe this? And it's fine because I understand the idea of believing it in the sense that I believed it. And I believed it around the same age as you're believing it. And I'm not going to patronize you. I'm not going to say, you'll outgrow this because I outgrew it, because there's people that don't. There's people that stay in it their whole lives, right? So I'm not going to sit there and tell you this is just this phase for you, because that's very patronizing to tell any young person.
It's very patronizing to tell him that I was there and you'll grow out of it. But what she's saying is, no, you might well be stuck in this delusion your entire life. So on the one hand, one of them is one statement is patronizing, the other one is kind of insulting, because you're saying that you won't grow out of it. You'll be like a child for your entire life. You'll never grow up.
So what I am going to say, though, is there are people who change their lives who don't go through God. And the idea that you changed your life is not necessarily evidence of a God. I do understand why it had an impact on you, but there's a lot of reasons that people can mess up their lives, especially when they're not prepared for life in the real world. And religion does not really, in a lot of cases, especially with conservative religion, does not prepare you for handling life. And then when you go out and fail, the Amish, how you have Amish people who live in these like very cloistered communities?
Yeah.
Well, they have a certain period where the children get to an age around your age where they're allowed to go out into the real world and sort of explore. And then they make a, quote, decision about whether or not they want to come back. But when you've been living in this Amish community, I mean, can you imagine what it's like outside that community when you really immerse yourself? I mean, they have interaction with the world.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I made my main point with this video. My main point was really to show you the mindset of kind of born-again type Christian who believes that he or she is having a relationship with the living Jesus. And of course, just to make the point is that they could well believe that that is true. And it may well be that it turned their life around and that they are living lives of kind of ignorant bliss day after day. But what it doesn't mean is that there's an actual Jesus or a God that they're having a relationship with. I just refer back to Dumbo's lucky feather. Okay, that's all for now. Let me know what you think. But he sounds way gone and beyond recovery to me. Thanks for watching. Be back again soon. Bye for now.